So, Adriana, we're at Furries Park. Why is this park special to you?
This park is very special to me because when I came home from the hospital, my parents brought me home. The house that I was brought to is on Leal Street, literally right next to the park. And I wanted to make sure that I showcased the area and, more importantly, the opportunity for the area. I wanted to focus in on the fact that you could bloom where you are planted. This is in zip code 78207. For a really long time, this has been one of the least social economically invested in, or I would say the income levels are some of the lowest in city, actually the lowest for years at a time. And I wanted to focus in here because there's still opportunity for anybody in this zip code, and it shouldn't matter what zip code you're born into. You could still run for mayor one day. You could still make a difference in your community. You could still give back. And that's why I felt it was important to have the interview here, bring me back to my roots, and just remind people that, again, you could bloom where you're planted.
So why are you running for mayor? What's your motivation?
My motivation is to give back to the community that has given back so much to me. And it's going to take me an entire lifetime to pay back my community what they have done for me. I am here, I have gotten an education, I've had the opportunities that I've had because of investment in kids like me. Kids who were born into the zip code. And one of the things that I'm very, very proud of is, for instance, the voters of San Antonio in the 90s voted on the San Antonio Education Partnership. I'm a partnership scholarship recipient. I'm now on the board. I sit on the board on behalf of the mayor and the city council. And it's that type of programs that need to continue to be invested in. So Mayor Cisneros at the time was the one who pushed that investment through. A few years later, we think about the effort that Mayor Castro did with Pre-K for Essay. And then even fast forward to most recently, and the effort that San Antonio Ready to Work and Mayor Nirenberg have really done for our community with the upskilling and the access to training. I feel that as a mayor, you have to be visionary, you have to be forward thinking. I also think that it's time to reinvest and recalibrate these three programs and really focus in on the areas that have really worked, the areas that need improvement, and try to figure out how to make sure that they all collaborate together, because it really serves every aspect of our community, those three programs. And I'm running for mayor because I want to make sure that everybody has the opportunity. Again, the zip code that you're born into shouldn't dictate the outcome of health disparities that you will have throughout your life, the access to educational opportunities, and even the access to live a good quality of life.
What is the first thing you plan to do once in office, and what will you set to accomplish in your first 100 days?
Well, as you can see, I started off by talking about education, and I really think that education is that equalizer. It grants opportunities, and I feel like I'm living proof thanks to my community. That's one of the first things that I want to do at City Hall. There hasn't been an education committee, a focused education committee, since Mayor Castro was in office. I want to bring back education to City Hall. That is the only way that we will be able to break the cycles of generational poverty. But again, it's investing in multiple programs in different areas. The wraparound services, yes, for our kids, but also for our parents. The access to education is important, but how are they going to be able to have an education if they're sick all of the time, if they're missing school, or if they have to miss school to take care of a parent, a sibling, a grandparent, and we have to have the whole spectrum. And so one of the first things that I really want to do is bring back that education committee to City Hall.
A recent poll by UTSA found that crime, homelessness, and affordable housing were the top three most important problems, according to their respondents. Unemployment, the federal budget deficit, and racism ranked among the least important. Do you agree with these priorities?
Definitely in San Antonio, we see that housing has been a priority. We're very fortunate that the residents of San Antonio approved a housing bond, the first one ever, $150 million. That has helped us put a big dent in the services to people who are experiencing homelessness and helping them access. But I've got to tell you, Rania, that the common trait, right, that we see in the community is that they want to help each other. We want to uplift one another. And when you think about people experiencing homelessness, in the past, there might have been a stereotype of who is out there. But now the reality is that families are homeless. There's kids that are in every school district that are sitting in a classroom with your loved one, with perhaps your niece, nephew, granddaughter, grandson, and they are experiencing homelessness. They're literally maybe couch crashing or staying with a friend. Sometimes, by the way, they're staying with a friend because there's family violence situations that they're trying to escape or they're trying not to be a part of. And so the reality is that the faces of people experiencing homelessness is very different from the stereotype of the person experiencing homeless. And we have, as a community, said that in a study, that homes are important. I'm very fortunate that I have been the president of the San Antonio Housing Trust since February of 2022. During my time as president, I have led the organization in creating more than 7,000 units of housing, anywhere from affordable to market level. And we're going to need that because yes, we absolutely need to get families into housing, but also if we keep attracting jobs the way that we have been attracting jobs to San Antonio, we need to be able to give people to come to San Antonio the ability to find a home to live at whatever salary level they're making. I'll give you an example. The missing middle is a critical component. I've been heavily involved through the National League of Cities. I sat on a steering committee that was trying to accelerate the housing across the nation. We worked with the Mortgage Bankers Association, with the American Planning Association, and with the National Association for the Board of Realtors. And we all worked together with local elected officials to see what was going on across the country, what best practices were being implemented, how we could learn from one another. But we know that one of the key components is that missing middle. So for instance, some of the staff members that right now work for me wouldn't be able to find a house that they could afford. They are not eligible for affordable homes, but they're not able to afford a home at market rate. And so we have to really come to terms with the fact that we need homes at every level here in San Antonio. And the good thing is that San Antonio continues to grow, and we're not going to stop people from coming to San Antonio. So we have to have solutions. We absolutely need to work together as a community to figure out where we're going to put people when they get here.
What's your take on public safety? I know there are often, city council meetings where public safety is a conversation that continues to keep happening. What would you like to say about that priority?
I'll start off by acknowledging that our first responders are critical to the work that we as officials do. And I'm very grateful and appreciative of our firefighters and as well as our police, women and men, because they're the ones running into the danger when we're trying to leave. So I have been very fortunate in my life to be able to count on that. I've called so many times police because I told you that I was born into 78207. But my parents moved into zip code 78242, and that's Indian Creek, the neighborhood. And at the time when I was growing up, Indian Creek was one of the most crime-infested neighborhoods in the area. And so I feel like I'm the person on that dais that has called the police more often because literally there was drive-bys, hit the ground, call the police. Every time I felt I was in danger, that call was to 911. And I feel that although that has changed partly in some areas of town, the crime continues. And we can look at different statistics and we can say that crime is down, but the reality is that in certain areas of town, it hasn't changed. Or people haven't seen it change. And so to them, the perception is their reality. So we can't be dismissive. We can't say that we're doing a great job in public safety when we know that we need additional resources. We need additional police officers to continue the growth with the pace of the growth in San Antonio. And we also really need to take a tough look at what we are doing as elected officials to improve that perception of safety in neighborhoods. When somebody has their property broken into multiple times, and by the way, even at different locations, and I know that people are experiencing that, it's sad and embarrassing. I have a friend who literally said the other day, oh, I have a bingo card going on where my truck is going to be broken into next. I've been broken into in districts 1, 6, and I can't remember what the third one he said was, but I thought, how embarrassing for us to have to hear that. And for someone not to feel safe, like it's kind of like a hit or miss. So we have to do a little bit more about that. I do think that investing in public safety continues to be critical. We have a new substation that is going to be coming to the south side in terms of police, but we're going to need to have that station staffed up. I've done a few ride-alongs during my time as an elected official, and it's nonstop. And especially if you're on the T shift, and so it's that 5 p.m. to 3 a.m. watch, you see all sorts of things. I mean, from someone doing donuts to someone falling asleep with drug paraphernalia really close to their home, to a runner from a hospital, to a domestic violence incident, to a car crash, to finding someone on a welfare check that was dead in her chair for days. That's what our police officers and our firefighters face every day, and we need to continue to support them, increase their numbers. There's a lot of retirements. I have sat on the San Antonio police officers, firefighters and police officers pension board for my 3 terms. I've been very fortunate to be able to represent them, but I also see that they're retiring. There was a time during my tenure where they were retiring at even higher rates. How do we incentivize them to stay longer? Because we know that the trained officers can teach the newer officers. Rania, I try not to miss a graduation for any first responder. I try to be there for every firefighter graduation unless I'm out of town. Same with the San Antonio police officers. Throughout my lifetime, I've been able to shake the hand of police officers and firefighters as they step out into really the community on their own. Their training has been completed, they're certified, they take their oath, and every person that I shake hands with, every officer that we welcome into the city, I always say thank you and God bless you. It's important for me to say God bless you because they're going to be putting their life in danger. I walk out and I always say thank you to the families because their families know that their loved ones are going into a very dangerous position and they're supporting them. And so again, going back to the fact that I said earlier that it's going to take me an entire lifetime to pay back my community what they've done for me, that includes our first responders. I've been at the forefront of some of the most terrible incidents that happen in San Antonio. Most recently, a horrible one that I could recall and is fresh in the minds is the 53 migrants that died in the back of an 18-wheeler. No first responder is trained for that. No matter what type of training you received, you could not have been prepared to find 48 dead bodies in an 18-wheeler. And so how do we make sure that our first responders have the accessibility to mental health services that help them try to be normal again when they get home after experiencing such shock? So we have to support them so that they could continue to support us, so that they could continue to protect us, and absolutely investing in additional substations. Firefighters, we need additional stations as well. We recently experienced some wind in San Antonio. There was a big fire on the south side of town, and our firefighters were ready and prepared prepared. They were out there with their brush equipment. They contained the fire within a few hours. But we need to have fire stations that are also on the outskirts of town that are ready to respond. We have good partnerships, I would say, with the county, with the ESDs, and it takes all of us working together. But we absolutely have to be able to respond as a city of San Antonio, because when somebody calls 911, they don't know that they're going to be receiving a response from Bexar County or the San Antonio Fire Department. They just know that they're calling 911 in their time of need, and 911 is going to send someone to help them.
San Antonio is undergoing a bit of a development boom with the airport expansion, downtown sports and entertainment district plans, and the plans for new via lines. How would you help facilitate these projects, and should they remain priorities for the city, particularly the downtown district?
So we have an opportunity to really change the landscape of downtown San Antonio, but we have to include everyone. And I am excited about the possibilities of change and improvement downtown, but we can't not think about the cost that comes with. One of the things that I've been very vocal about is making sure that we have affordable housing around the downtown area. But more importantly, how do we continue to focus on the people that live there now so that we don't displace them? And for instance, if we are able to float a housing bond as we are doing all of these projects downtown, how do we ensure that a big portion of that bond goes to making sure that the residents that are currently there are able to age in place, that are not priced out of their homes, that are able to age with dignity and grace and stay in their legacy homes and pass them on to their loved ones? And I think that's going to be critical before we take any next steps, is that involvement with the community. I'm grateful that our city council and our county government will be working together, because we represent the same residents. And I'm looking forward to the conversations that will start happening with our community. We need our community to really let us know what they want to see, and we need to take their considerations into account before we make any further decisions.
Speaking of which, do you have any criticisms of the current mayoral administration? What would you like to carry on, and what would you like to change?
One of the things that I would love to continue to elaborate with the current administration is the focus on housing. It has continued to be a priority for this mayoral administration, and I want to continue that focus, because again, we can't stop growth happening in San Antonio. How do we use land rules, regulations, etc., to the advantage of organizations who are being responsible in their development and growth? How do we continue to empower that? One of the things that I have been toying with as well is the realization that everybody will benefit essentially from things that help our future, that help our kids. And I say that because we're building future leaders, we're investing in our youth through education, through additional services, etc. So I think that I would do that. That's one of the things that I want to do, is change that up, bring education more to the forefront of City Hall. That's one of the things that I feel like that this current mayoral administration didn't maybe have time to do. To be fair, COVID happened in the middle of this all. So I feel like it robbed us of maybe 2 years, because our focus was on that really resilience building and getting out of the pandemic and making sure that our community was served well. And so I really want to focus on the education. And the other thing that I really want to do is empower my colleagues. I feel like we have great members of the City Council who are experts in their own right on different things. So for instance, if I talk about education, Dr. Kaur, to me, is one of these experts in education. How do we get her and her network of support to really coalesce around championing education? Dr. Or I'm sorry, I was calling her doctor, but Councilwoman Phyllis Villagran. Councilwoman Villagran has been really focused on sustainability efforts. She's also been focused on the fact that we are a city of gastronomy and we have the missions. We are a UNESCO site. How do we empower her to go out and tell the world the story of San Antonio and keep bringing people here in San Antonio? I'm fortunate that I sit on Visit San Antonio with her. Councilwoman Terry Castillo, whose district we're in today, her focus on housing is critical. Her focus also on workers' rights. I think she could really help bridge some of those gaps and help us bring people to the table that can work together effectively. What she has been doing on the west side has been transformative in terms of drainage. So I feel like if we empower these different colleagues on the council, Councilman Aldrete Gavito, for instance, she has been really championing loose dogs, and we just saw one walk by here around here, right? And so how do we work with her to make sure that she is the advocate for making sure that people are responsible pet owners? How do we leverage her network? And by the way, she's also brilliant with technology. How do we make sure that she helps lead the efforts for this city in terms of technology? Because I believe that the mayor, like the city charter says, is the 11th council member. That means that there's districts 1 through 10, and then the mayor is the 11th. So I feel like we are all one team. We should all empower one another. I understand that the mayor will always get the criticism because they are the leader, the elected leader of our city, representing every district. But there's no reason why the mayor shouldn't have to share the spotlight and empower others to really be their best.
San Antonio has had a rocky recent history when it comes to getting along with top state officials. How would you approach that relationship?
I'm very fortunate, Rania, in that we can talk about both federal and state representatives, and I'll start with the federal level. I am the president of Women in Municipal Government. I represent mayors and council women from all across the nation. And I'm very fortunate because in the 50 years of that organization, I'm only the second Texan to represent as president. The first Texan was in year 2 of the organization's history, and it was a woman who happened to be mayor of San Antonio, Lila Cockrell. So very, very fortunate that I'm the second Texan, and so continued relationships at the national level, I think will help us leverage as well the relationships at the state level. I have been fortunate also to be a part of the Texas Lyceum. The Texas Lyceum is a nonpartisan group that comes together to talk about issues affecting the state of Texas. And I've been able to work together with every different industry to learn how we leverage the common good, the common need. And I feel like we have to do that right now at the state level. What are some of these things that we have in common? Obviously, our constituents, we start having in common. We have common constituents that want the same thing. They expect to be able to have a safe place to call home. They expect to be able to stay and age in place. They expect to have access to quality of life, including healthcare, etc. And I feel like those are the low-hanging fruit, if we will, that we can leverage. One opportunity that I feel that we really have coming up here at the state level is the fact that Port San Antonio, which happens to be in District 4, has a lot of focus on cybersecurity that has already been touted by the governor. So why don't we continue to work with the governor, and by the way, also work at the federal level to bring a focus on childcare. We all need childcare. We need quality childcare. Every person who is working in San Antonio needs that access to quality childcare. How do we leverage our state resources and also advocate at the national level and use the relationships that our state government has at the national level to help bring awareness to San Antonio about childcare and about the need for continued investment in that cybersecurity area in San Antonio?
The mayor's office is now a 4-year term instead of a 2-year. How does that change how you might approach your priorities?
The 4-year term that the residents of San Antonio have given us, I think, is a great vote of confidence in what has been done at City Hall, how we have been handling business at City Hall. Not everyone's perfect. We were not going to get it right, but also we are not the smartest people in the room. So we need to continue to leverage those community members to tell us what they see, to be our eyes and ears, and to give us their feedback, good and bad, so that we can make differences. So in the 4 years, I would hope to start setting up meetings with different industries, with different organizations who traditionally have not come to City Hall. So I mentioned, for instance, the educators. How do we bring them back to City Hall? How do we bring back superintendents to City Hall to let us know what's going on in their districts? How can they help be a part of the housing solutions, for instance? How can we bring labor back to City Hall? How can we engage labor and trade organizations and different small businesses to really say, we all want San Antonio to be prosperous. How do we move forward? How do we do this together? And I feel that that's what in my first 100 days I would focus in. What are these key constituency groups that have traditionally felt left out? How do we empower them? How do we bring liaisons to City Hall to really have a seat at the table? And that's going to be one of the priorities. Again, it's that constant communication, the feedback. I don't know what I don't know, but you can help me know what I don't know. You can help me learn. You can help me help you. And that's exactly what we need to do. Now, of course, we think about the bond that's coming up, the opportunity for another bond. We think about the opportunity for the expansion of downtown. One of the things that I feel hasn't been talked about enough and our residents need to be very aware about is that right now we are still enjoying a fruitful hotel occupancy tax, for instance, downtown. And that's because we've been benefiting from some of the business, the convention business that Austin has had to turn away while they're renovating. What happens when that business is gone? How do we keep what we need going here in downtown San Antonio? And so those are some of the long-term things that we need to be planning for, of course. And then also review of current practices, a review of current things that have been happening, programs like Pre-K for SA, programs like Ready to Work, programs like the San Antonio Education Partnership. How do we empower them to continue to do better? How do we continue to have them evolve? How do we have them collaborate and really talk and really leverage their strengths for the empowerment of an entire community?
I know, Adriana, you talked a little bit about the roles you've held, but what experience of yours do you expect to lean on hardest if elected to be mayor?
I think the hardest experience that I would lean on is my collaborative abilities. I collaborate with everyone. I talk to anyone, I talk to everyone who wants to meet. There's always an open door policy. One of the things that I feel very confident about is that ability to communicate. I'm very good at asking questions. I ask people to please help me understand if I don't understand something, because I want to learn. I want to learn so that I can help you. And so I feel that that collaborative nature in me is critical. The thing that I'm most proud of during my time as a council member has been the fact that one of those collaboration pieces has yielded in some advancement in healthcare for the South Texas region. And it started a long time ago. It started during the COVID pandemic, and we literally had the novel coronavirus brought to District 4 at Lackland Air Force Base when the evacuees from the Princess cruise ship from Wuhan were brought here. Residents started calling on day one, and they were asking, am I going to catch this through the wind? It's right down the street from me. They were scared, they were nervous, they didn't know what to do. At the time, I went immediately into action to try to learn as much as possible. When vaccines were available, and I learned that they were only going to be available in the northern part of the city, I worked with a group of doctors and a group of community leaders, and then I brought in a couple of my council colleagues to really help advocate for us to have vaccines available for everyone, and that included the south side of San Antonio. So whether you wanted a vaccine or not, they were going to be available to you should you choose, and they were going to be somewhere near you, because we know that a lot of the people in the south side don't have access to reliable transportation. I feel like every one of these challenges that I have dealt with, and I've had a major challenge in each one of my terms, starting, like I said, with the COVID pandemic that literally landed in our district. And then when you think about the closure of the Texas Vista Hospital and how people were putting profit over people, and the fact that now we have an investment of $600,000 that I convinced my council colleagues for, together with the work of Councilman Phyllis Villagran, in making sure that we look at health corridors, that we look at expanding opportunities for people in healthcare to come and want to serve the South Side. Those are some of the things that I feel that under my leadership have been crucial. The collaboration, and it needs to continue to be at the forefront of anything that I do.
A most recent UTSA poll sort of asked several hundred constituents who would they most likely to vote for. You were among the top 10. I believe you placed at number 6. What's the biggest thing you want those? Have you been paying attention to those polls and where you stand? And what's the biggest thing you want people to know?
Sure, absolutely. So I believe that the latest poll was 683 individuals. I'd love to see a breakdown of where the people polled live in terms of geography. A lot of the residents that I represent, that know my name very well and that I have great name ID with, they probably weren't taking that poll. You had to have a registered email address to be able to take the poll, the way that I understand. And so I'd love to see where the information is coming from. The other thing that I'd like the residents of San Antonio to know is that I have built my fundraising campaign from people from San Antonio mainly. Yes, I have colleagues across the state of Texas, but they're San Antonians that have been investing in my race. They want me to succeed. They're literally church people. They're people who I have worked with at nonprofits before. They are all trying to help me get to the mayor's seat with as much money as they can possibly donate to my campaign. I have not had outside PACs invest in my campaign, so I can't afford, quite frankly, to go out and purchase TV ads that some of the others might have. I can't afford to invest in the digital presence right now that some of those campaigns might be able to invest in because of outside money or because of personal money. I don't have $150,000 to lend myself. I have worked hard all of my life. I've had 2 jobs. I've also been raising a child on my own. I'm a single mom. And so that investment had to have been made in my child and my family. I couldn't afford to be able to start my own small business and leave money on the table from a job. And so I feel like I have to tell the residents of San Antonio that they need to know that they need to know that it's not for lack of digital investment. I'm doing everything possible, going door to door in the communities, investing in the communities that really have felt left behind. One of the things that I most hated, for instance, during the vaccine strategy, right, or non-strategy, is that some of the other elected officials were going door to door to their voters. It was a voter list that they were approaching. And so to me, that was almost unethical. Well, it was a quid pro quo, right? And so here I'm bringing you life-saving vaccines, vote for me. How unfortunate that you would play with your residents like that. We didn't do that. It was a blanket, and we knew that not everybody had access to internet. And that's why I'm focused so much on the fact that this poll was digital. I don't have enough money to do my own poll. I can't afford it. I don't think many candidates could afford it. But the beauty of having 27 candidates in the race is that people will have a choice. They get to go and do their own research on every candidate. Yes, some of them are coming to the forefront. I am very lucky that I am number 11 on the ballot, Rania, and I mentioned earlier that the mayor is the 11th seat on council. I believe that that was a great sign, and I'm looking forward to my community continuing to support me. Yes, like I said, I have outside networks at the state and at the national level, but I want my community to believe in me, and I want them to see that I don't owe any other organization any favors. I just represent my community, my San Antonio.
That saying, why are you the best candidate for the job?
I feel like I'm the best candidate for the job because not only was I born and raised here in San Antonio, and I've experienced a lot of the issues that San Antonians face, but also I'm very well prepared. I am researched, I am communicative, I know when and how things at City Hall move along. I have had the great fortune of working for nonprofits or also for the city my entire life. So I'm very familiar with the needs of the community as a whole. And I also feel that my just life experience, being a single mom, being raised by parents who only went to first and second grade in Mexico, who don't have a formal education, pulling myself up by the bootstraps literally and working 2 jobs to make sure that I got my child ahead. I'm like you all. I am one of you all. I am from here. I will continue to work for you all.